Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about rotating a shape on a coordinate plane. Again, we're going to show that mastery in class by scoring at least a 70% on the exit ticket. Hopefully you have the note sheet in front of you. If you don't, take out a blank sheet of paper, copy down the notes, and we'll get you a fresh copy tomorrow. Now, when we talk about rotations, there's going to be a direction and there's going to be a degree. When we talk about our direction, you're either going to see them say clockwise or counterclockwise. Now, it's exactly what it is. When we say clockwise, we're turning it like we would turn the hands on a clock. And in class, if you struggle and you can't remember whether you're turning it to the right or to the left, look at the clock and watch the second hand tick. If it's going clockwise, you are going to turn it to the right. If it is going counterclockwise, you are going to turn it to the left. Now, your degree tells you how many times. If we have 90 degrees, it's going to be one turn. If we have 180 degrees, it is going to be two turns. If we have 270 degrees, it is going to be three turns. Now, technically, 360 degrees is four turns, but the four turns, it does take you back to your original picture, so you won't see them say rotate it 360 degrees. The common ones to see are 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and 270 degrees. Now, if we look, our problem asks us to rotate the triangle 90 degrees. So 90 degrees tells me I'm going to turn it one time, and clockwise means I'm going to turn it to the right. Now, if you were to Google this, yes, there are rules that will tell you what's going to happen to your X and Y coordinates. My suggestion to you, if you're doing this on your notes paper, take the notes paper and we're going to physically turn it. If this was a test or quiz in class, ask for a piece of graph paper. Just sketch an X and Y coordinate plane and then draw your shape. From here, I want to turn it one turn to the right. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it one time to the right. Now, what this means for us, it changes things just slightly. We still want the coordinate plane. Well, if this was my coordinate plane, this has now become my x-axis. This has now become my y-axis. So don't worry about the numbers that are listed. We know if it's one box, it's 1. If it's 2, it's 2. Because now if you look, my y-axis, the top is negative and the bottom's positive. Ignore the numbers that are there. The top is now your positive y's, the bottom is your negative y's. So now we're just going to treat it like a normal coordinate plane. We're going to find out, and you can write right on your graph, where A prime, B prime, and C prime are. To find A prime, find where A is. If I look, it's positive 1 in the x, and it is positive 5 in the y. Again, I know it says negative 5, but that's our positive y-axis now. For B, it's positive 1 on the x and positive 3 on the y. For C, it is positive 4 and positive 3. And I'm going to copy these over here so I can draw my new shape. Because now what we can do, if you need to write the x's and y's to remind yourself, feel free to do so. But I'm going to turn my picture back to my original. And now I can plot my new shape. So it's at 1, 5. 1, 5 is A prime. 1, 3 is B prime. And 4, 3 is C prime. The thing to keep in mind with a rotation, your shapes are still going to be the same size, but they're not going to be facing the same direction because you need to turn it. So it's going to be turned. And if I look, this took my original shape and turned it 90 degrees clockwise towards the first quadrant. For my second example, rotate the rectangle 180 degrees. Now, if you notice, it only gives us a degree. It doesn't give you a direction. We know that 180 degrees means we're going to turn it twice. Here's the really cool thing about 180 degrees. They don't have to give you a direction. If I turn it 180 degrees clockwise, it ends up upside down. If I go back and turn it 180 degrees counterclockwise, it still ends up in the same direction. So 180 degrees, they don't have to give you a direction because both directions end up in the same place. 90 degrees and 270, they have to give you a direction. But as far as 180, they don't. So again, this is now our x-axis, this is our y-axis, and you want to make sure you ignore the negative signs, ignore the positives, graph on a coordinate plane like you know how to. So if I look at A prime, it is now at positive 2 on the x, negative 2 on the y. B prime is at positive 1, negative 2. C prime is at positive 1, positive 2. And D prime is at positive 2, positive 2. And all I'm doing is now looking at where each of these points falls after I rotated it the 180 degrees. I'm going to erase some of my markings. And we're going to turn it back. So when you turn it back to your original shape. And now we can plot our new coordinate points. So 2, negative 2 gives me A prime. 1, negative 2, B prime. C prime is 1, 2. And D prime is 2, 2. So again, they're the same size shape, which we want, but if you notice, all the points are in different spots, which they're going to be because we rotated them, so we turned all the points. Shapes like rectangles and squares are super important that you label them as you wrote the coordinate points down, because if you switched the order of those coordinate points, even though you did the transformation correctly, your answer is wrong. A prime has to be at 2, negative 2. It cannot be at 1, 2, otherwise it's not a proper transformation. So make sure you are extremely careful about labeling your points and your primes, A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. Example 3 says 90 degrees, okay, that is one turn, counterclockwise, which means we need to go to the left. So again, I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to rotate it counterclockwise one time to the left. From here, I'm just going to label it. That's my new x-axis. That's my new y-axis. So now we can find our prime points. If we look at A prime is at negative 1, 2. B prime is at negative 1, 4. And C prime is at 3, 4. And again, those points just came from the vertices of my triangle now that I have rotated my paper. From here, I'm going to rotate my shape back to normal. And now we can plot our new points. A is at negative 1, 2, and that's my A prime. B prime is at negative 1, 4. And C is at 3, 4. In this case, I put A in the middle. That's all right. We'll just write it out here. And if you notice, my shape went counterclockwise, and it went one turn. B and C are still on the same line, but now instead of being vertical, they're horizontal. And that's what we want. We need to be able to rotate the shape so it's going to stay the same size, but it's just going to move the direction. I want you to try number 4 on your note sheet. Bring that to class tomorrow, and we will talk about it then. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.